possession by New Zealand at 38. That makes it really hard. Doubled up by a bigger forward pack. That's where they're sucking the juice, and 60-something more tackles. Yeah, the quality is down a little bit, and there's a lot of players in their first tournament debuts, which getting a bit rattled at the moment when they're behind the scoreboard. But get an even possession, that's when we can make the true evaluation.
I'm picking up on that point. What myself and Ian were discussing at half-time is the Australians at one point looked rattled, which is un-Australian-like, and irrespective of how many young people they put in their team, somebody has to stand up, and that person has to be Smith, it has to be a Cronk, it has to be an Inglis, has to lead this team to the right parts of the field.
Well, a high tackle here has given Australia a penalty at the end, towards the end of their set, so they'll start the next just inside New Zealand's half. Be a rare night tonight, New Zealand winning a final in New Zealand. They tend to do that on foreign soil in Australia, don't they?
I think the key for Australia is what Tim Sheens has said at half-time, because they need to adjust the way they're playing to sort of utilise their strengths and take away some of the weaknesses, like kicking behind Vatuvei early, big tall winger, moving the ball a little bit, players coming against the grain, coming at different angles. They've got to change it up, Australia, if they want to change the result.
But we do know the blink of an eye and everything could change. Here's Cooper Cronk, who's capable of that, and Daly Cherry Evans with a little saunter to his right, and that blink of the eye just happened. Australia are back in it. Sione Mata'utia scores. The referee is not mindful to give it just yet. He's given it as a try, as long as there's no obstruction here.
Well, there's a lead player. The ball player sends a player through, but he brings a player behind him. They thought it was going to go to the outside player. Obviously, now you've got to see where the lead runner, the player that doesn't get the ball, does he impede the defender? Because they've shot up on the outside a few times here today, New Zealand, and it's always been when Dale Cherry's got the ball, he's got him behind the defence. There's nothing wrong there. This is a true try. Kenny-Dowall comes out of the line. He needed to stay with his inside defender. Of course, he comes up. He opens up the hole, and Dale Cherry will take it. Because he did it early in the game. They didn't get rewards. This time they do.
Well, here you'll see it better from the behind the screen, behind the sticks camera. There's no impeding. They're looking at if he's impeded Foran, runs on his inside shoulder. It's a poor read from Kenny-Dowall, so he's out of the play. What that does is open the tunnel for Cherry Evans to run through. He tried it in the first half and was ankle tapped and got caught. This time he gets straight through past Foran, and now has to find a pass player to put it out.
Well, he's that far up, Brian. He doesn't even know that Dale Cherry's got the ball. You watch here now. He doesn't even know Dale Cherry's got the ball. Poor defensive read. Way what we call upstream. He needed to stay with the defender and just work with his inside defender. And he's been known to do things like that, Kenny.
So we're expecting try here. And try confirmed. And Australia land a blow right at the start of this second half. Dangerous to count them out. And they have just proven why. Back within 4, back within eyesight of New Zealand's lead. With a kick to come here.
Obviously, this is a play that's been constructed during the week by Australia. You know, Evans straight away knowing that Dowell gets upstream all the time, so they want bodies in motion to drag him up and he get him behind. Obviously, he can also go the other way, is drag him up and the winger comes up with him and kick him behind. That's a planned move, and now the Australians all of a sudden they look down and out, and they look moaning and they look negative coming out after half time. The whole bench and everyone, now they're on their toes, and this is where the test is, but this is where the test is Johnson. Can he keep controlling the game for New Zealand?
So Cameron Smith to reduce the gap to just 2 again. A lot of noise in the background, he's heard it all before. Whether in the colours of Melbourne, Queensland or Australia. Smith from the touchline. The kicking tonight has been good so far, and it remains excellent. 2 out of 2 for Cameron Smith. 14 points to New Zealand. 12 now to Australia.
Well, they're back in the game, obviously, with the score, but they started the first half like this. Cherry Evans travels and makes the extra tunnel ball play, which reduces the try. What the Kiwis, they can't be overconfident and not respect this Australian team. They need to go back to the process that proved dividends the last 30 minutes of that first half.
Johnson hangs it high. Cronk with a take, and Australia are going forward again in the shape of Papalii. New Zealand born Josh Papalii. playing Origin last year for the first time.
Back goal two.
Looking to get some momentum going here, having had the perfect start to the half. Key night for Tim Sheens, you mentioned him. 30th game in charge of Australia, Tim Sheens, tonight. He becomes the second longest serving Australian coach. He overtakes the record of Clive Churchill in second place. Only Bobby Fulton has coached more games for Australia. 40 games, Bobby Fulton. 30 games now, Tim Sheens. Here's the high kick. Chase from Australia, bounces off the chest of Vatuvei, and his opposite number, Jason Nightingale, luckily for Manu Vatuvei, is there to mop things up.
How high was that ball?
Do you know, I'd go to far as say that's the highest kick I've ever seen. And when you do a spiral, some of you hit in a sweet spot and they spiral and they go high, and some just don't get right. Wow, that did get right, didn't it? That was as high as I've seen a kick.
Here's Lewis Brown. Out comes Taupau.
Actually, I thought Hiku did really well for it to hit his chest.
There's a problem here for Martin Taupau. Former Tongan international, ex-Aussie schoolboy, now wears the New Zealand black. It's a confused international scene, isn't it? But we see it a lot, don't we? Players who are qualified for so many different nations in this part of the world. Still having treatment here.
We might be in All Blacks country here, but the 3 tries that have been scored on the sideline, the conversions have been 100% outstanding. 2 by Johnson and 1 by Smith.
And Ian, the pressure that's on, is there pressure on Tim Sheens? Let's talk about him. Maybe if Australia lose tonight, that might be it.
Well, I was just thinking when you're running through, he becomes the second longest serving coach. He needs to win tonight to become the longest serving coach, because there is pressure. It's in the media. There's been some whispers from the players that they may like the change. But I think he's done a great job with the personnel he's had out. But unfortunately, when you coach Australia, you're expected to win. You expect to win tournaments. And then you look at the last bloke when they lost the World Cup, was Ricky Stewart. He went, and Tim Sheens took over. So to answer you bluntly, he needs to win tonight to keep coaching in the near future.
It's not hitherto been a full-time job, has it, in recent times, the Australian job, but they are looking to make it full-time for the next 3 years.
Tim, because he's not involved in an NRL club, he has been doing it really full-time. There was talk before this tournament of going again with him for another 3-year period up to the next World Cup, but they want it full-time. But at the moment, they're not worried about the contenders, I think, the Australian Rugby League. They're more worried about winning the game. Then they'll look at contenders. You'll get people put their hand up, but at the moment, Tim is under a lot of pressure. And can I back up that? I think unduly too, because I think he's had a big personnel change. We've seen more players play debuts in this series than ever in Australia. Now, I think we're up to about 6 or 7 in this tournament, which is a lot of players being blooded. And he's had to take the brunt of that. But unfortunately, that's where we are in sport. Winning as a big dominator if you retain the job. And
extra pressure for the Australian coach. 5.5 years in charge, Tim Sheens. If they lose tonight, it would only be his 3rd defeat in 30 games. It's not exactly a bad record, is it? But when you're Australia, you're not expected to have a record even like that.
It's a bit like coaching Real Madrid or Barcelona, isn't it? You know, I mean, unless you win and beat your New Zealand, Australia, you're under a lot of pressure. And this is an interesting. He's hurt his neck here, and there's no malice in this tackle. I think we can hear some reports coming from the field here. He's hurt his neck. They'll go through a procedure now, which is a safety procedure, so they immobilise him. There's nothing in the tackle. It's just a contact. It'll be interesting to see how the break affects here, Brian, because Australia started getting momentum back with a try. They've made some yardage straight away coming out of their half. That great kick by Inglis up in the air. Times like this, as a coach, you sit here and you go, as the Australian coach, he goes, I want it to keep going.
Yeah.
And Steve Kearney goes, now this is the break we need. Do you feel the same?
I do feel the same. I think they had a little bit of presence, didn't the Australians? First time they got to this part of the field for quite a while. We're just watching a rerun of the Cherry Evans break through the line and the Australian score. But my big worry for the Kiwis was, I wasn't being flippant when I said just do the things you did in the last 30 minutes of that first half. They didn't start the first half real well and then got into the grind. And I think it's taken them a time to get into the grind again and get their hands on the ball, because they certainly at least have got to share possession this second half, because Australia will be a whole lot better.
And I think from an emotional point of view, when they went off at half-time, the way they got in a bunch, the 30,000 fans here sort of right behind them, sometimes you can think it'll just come natural in the second half, and you've got to get back to those little basics and that little hard work of applying pressure and attack and defence. I think that's really important. But it's interesting here, Cameron Smith here now urging his players here at the moment, having a chat with them. I just think with New Zealand at the moment, they need a flow, and when we say a flow, we need the ball in play so they can use their big men to take the juice. They need the ball to keep flowing, so, and what we say is possession, keep the ball in possession, so they apply pressure.
You mentioned the way that they're big ball carriers. They're like oil tankers. It takes an oil tanker a while to get going, but once it's going, they're hard to turn around and they're hard to stop. You know, Vatuvei and all their big blokes were getting on the front foot and cruising forward because they have some momentum and some rhythm to their game. I think this rhythm, they need to reinvest in that and say, listen, let's just get our hands on the ball and get into our rhythm, because I think at the start of this second half they haven't.
I'll tell you one thing Steve Kearney be talking about. He sent a message to Kenny-Dowall. He'd be saying to him, Kenny, I need you to do this. I need you to stay together. You've had some tendencies to do that. He'd have a little talk to Foran, who was on his inside, to have a little chat with him. And then they talk about, with Inglis's big spiral kick, about when they kick, we want you to all track back and find Australian jumper and run them off the ball. Give our fullback and winger an opportunity to have a clean catch and not be put under pressure. The coach will be using this period of time to sort of a little bit of extra coaching from half-time.
I'll tell you what I'm going to miss next week. After a month of all living together under the same roof, I'm going to miss your metaphors, Brian Noble. Big oil tankers, donkeys under the bonnet. I love those.
You're not going to make my domestic appliance or boiling eggs in a kettle or anything like that, are you?
This is a man who boils eggs in a kettle, Ian Millwall.
Well, where he is from Yorkshire, and I lived predominantly in Lancashire. I did, and I understood when the Lancashire people said they were strange. I've seen some tendencies over these last 4 weeks.
If you ever find yourself at Brian Noble's house and he offers you a cup of tea, decline, because it'll have an eggy taste to it. He boils eggs in a kettle. Anyway, on the field here, Martin Taupau, who's been given all the due care that we expect these days. I mean, it is terrific what happens these days, both on the international stage, domestic stage. The medical people take over, don't they? If they see a player injured, they don't wait for the referee to stop the game. They're straight out there to make sure that the due processes are started and completed on the field. The likelihood is, as he lifts an arm to the air, that he will be okay here, but they don't take any chances. Long stoppage. Here we go again. New Zealand looking to get their blood warmed again. Australia likewise. And here comes Johnson with a kick. There's an interesting ploy early in the count. Let the Australians have the ball in their hands, see if they've got their concentration. This is Mata Utai, the try scorer, who's tackled 30
He's a big loss, is Taupau. I thought he had a terrific first half, a great momentum with him.
Yeah, well, they're winning the size battle, and that's one of the big guys going off. So that is a big loss for New Zealand. 7
minutes stoppage, by the way. One of the Australians was saying last night, it's a late kickoff. It is, what time is it now? 10:05 here in Wellington. If we have a stoppage and then it goes to golden point of any duration, this could be the first international game that's played over 2 days. Beyond midnight. Not quite there yet. Here's Aaron Woods. Carrying it well. 4 tackles gone. 2 to go. Cameron Smith, Cherry Evans, left again. Here's Courtner, trying to force his way through. New Zealand put him down. But a big play coming here, you suspect, because it's in the hands of Cooper Cronk, who on the 6 will put it high. Vatuvei's last touch was a knock-on. Not this time. Not this time. That's a wonderful take.
Yeah, he did well there. Got a leaping jump, then he got a running jump on it. And the thing you worry about there with Australia, all you've got to stop and think about then is stopping him.
There's a saying in the NRL, if Vatuvei catches his first one, he's confident for the game. He drops his first one. He has some disaster games with the kick in the air. So big confidence for him. Just wanted a little bit more height, Cronk, so his support players could arrive.
I was going to say, it was a nice height for Manu there, wasn't it? Almost taking it in his stride. Tohu Harris trying to tear a hole in the Australian middle, but stopped 10 short of the halfway line. 6 tackle. Johnson hits the head of the chaser. The ball balloons in the air. It's not backwards by an Australian hand, but it's picked up by Josh Mansour, who's evaded the first defender and runs it back to find 1, 2, 3 more willing and able.
Yeah, penalty, Australia. I was just about to say Australia edging this, you know, in the exit battle, getting out of their own half. They're finding some kick pressure. They're restricting the Kiwi access to territory. And then the last play effort there and the penalty from the Kiwis puts Australians on the front foot.
And due to their kicking game, Johnson's last 2 kicks have been poor. One straight to Inglis, not much metres on that one. That one charged down, and that's the difference. You've got to make, at this level, teams come out of their 20-metre zone, and they're doubled up with a penalty. But you're right, Brian, they're winning the metres battle at the moment.
Here comes Cordner, Boyd Cordner, Sydney Roosters. This time last year making his Australian debut in the World Cup tournament. Cameron Smith rolls in at dummy half. Woods is winding himself up, but back it goes to Cooper Cronk and Daly Cherry Evans, who's already created havoc in the New Zealand defence in this second half. Smith again, Australia rolling forward ominously. Tohu Harris was there to block the way of Cameron Smith. Otherwise, he was likely to create. Inglis bends his big back. Cronk with a kick. Vatuvei with a catch, and he will get out of that danger zone, but he was in danger of going back, so the offload, it's been dropped by Kenny-Dowall, picked up by an Australian.
Do you know, this will be a New Zealand ball, because even though it's raked out, they raked it towards the New Zealand goal line, which is, when it's raked forward, there's no advantage. If he raked it back, it's Australia ball.
Look at that possession second half so far, early days, but 76% Australia. Well, 8.5 minutes to the second half.
Keep in mind, in the first half, it was all offside New Zealand. I thought it was a big call by Cooper Cronk going for the short kick here before the last tackle. That was the 4th tackle there. And then I thought, oh, here comes Manu. He cleaned it up, but that rake of the ball forward. But they're not as smooth and confident at the moment, New Zealand, after half-time, are they?
And it's just about getting their hands on the ball, and Johnson getting a kick away so they can get down and defend Australia at their end of the field.
Here's Hiku. Peter Hiku, the manly man. They're all manly men, but he plays with Manly. Eastwood looking for a blast. Lewis Brown, Mannering, the captain, carries it stoutly, and the offload again, flicking it away and keeping New Zealand going here. They're being bold, they're being adventurous, and it might pay dividends. For the tackle on Whare, pulling him down on the 5th. Nightingale scoops it back to the middle. Up it goes off the foot of Johnson, who seemed to be taken quite late there. Inglis goes up and takes it. It wasn't a nasty tackle on Johnson, but he seemed to be hooked back fairly late. The officials ignore it. Australia have it back. And Mata Utai tries to run it away. Have a look at this here on Johnson. Up it goes. And then it was quite late.
Yeah, that's a penalty.
Yeah, that is late, I agree.
It's Cronk. Now Woods. Strong energy by the 20-year-old, a mere baby in that position at prop forward. Only his 4th test match tonight. Greg Bird, determination etched on his mustachioed face as he's pulled down. Smith picks up and flicks it back to the middle. Inglis is up there to give the big boot to the ball. And that does bounce out of play. Short of the 20, I tell you, that was very close to being a 40-20. He's only a yard away.
Well, he's gone up and asked the referee to have a look at this too. Just short. Inglis has rushed up pretty hard. It's interesting. I haven't seen Greg Inglis.
And you're right, maybe they're trying to take away one of the Kiwi tactics of running Cronk down and running Cherry Evans down by sticking Inglis out the back for their kicks.
Well, Bird's off, clearly not as a planned interchange. He looked as though he was hurt.
Greg Inglis binding there. Aaron, get in there. That's it.
Sean Johnson to feed. Lewis Brown picks it up on the back of the scrum. Here comes Manu Vatuvei, hungry for a bit of the powerful stuff. He fancies a stint in the forwards at some stage in his career, doesn't he, Manu Vatuvei? He's big enough.
He's doing a good impersonation of it at the moment.
Square, goal, 2.
Lewis Brown again.
I think the forwards union, there was a time when There's some offloads from the Kiwis again and trying to make progression that way again as they did in the first half. There'll be a time when they'll be ridiculed. What, wingers in and around the middle? I think they'll be giving them a free passport. You can come when you want, Manu.
Taumalolo. 4 tackles gone. New Zealand creeping their way inside Australia's half. Johnson to Harris. Rather Proctor, wasn't it? Kevin Proctor, the other of the Hair-Bear bunch, who's tackled 30 metres away on the 5th tackle here. Down the blind side, Johnson with a kick back to the middle. Not too many chasing Kiwis there, but the post very, very nearly made it an impossible catch there. It's well taken in the end.
Jennings, wasn't it?
Oh, and there's a knock-on, was there? There was a fumble at the play ball. There was about 30,000 Kiwi voices who called for that, and Phil Bentham had to relent, and he gives the knock-on.
What's this?
Oh.
That's Mansour, isn't it? Wow.
There's the little push from Cronk.
Well, it's Cronk who's knocked it on. The play, the ball's clean. Yeah. It's Cronk.
So head and feed for New Zealand. 13 minutes of the second half played. Best position they've had so far in this second half. And 6 tackles to have a go at extending that lead. They're ready for a push. Down they pack. Lewis Brown barking out instructions from the back of the scrum before he puts his head in. Now it comes. Throws it to that left-hand side. It's going to be Kenny-Dowall who'll have the first go. Australia scrambling across to make the tackle. Vatuvei a dummy half. Hurls it back. Mannering has to go forward and straight and bowls it back with the offload. Johnson's not sure what he's going to do, but equally the Australian defence are not sure what he's going to do. And Johnson looking for the outside, looking for the miracle play, and this time not finding it. And Australia congratulate themselves because they've got away with a tackle and they've got possession back again.
I was just looking there straight away. I thought Mannering, another offload. He's continually doing it. Then all of a sudden Johnson gets it. As a good half here, you want him to drop someone back off here. Then he spots the space. He backs himself with too much confidence and gets near the sideline. Massive turnaround here. Double repeat set, 10 metres from the try line. Play 2, handover. And the Australians, if you watch them off the play there, the way they went, it was like they scored a try. Wow, we've kept them out. And they rejoiced by clapping each other and back-slapping each other. But his confidence got him in the problems there, Brian, didn't it?
On play 2, definitely, because he wasn't doing that in the first half. He was making composed decisions, lifting his head, as you said, and that brilliant players have this disease where they've got to have a crack there, and sometimes it's not the team thing to do, but you can't fault players like that when they see things like that. You just got to ride with it, defend more 6, and hope he gets another opportunity to show us that great footwork that he has. But not a great decision for the team on play 2.
No, but if he keeps running the ball, he's going to cause some problems. But it's one thing you don't want him to stop doing, run the ball.
Australia relentlessly marching forward. I think that's 4 tackles and they're inside New Zealand's half. Corey Parker. Not many grey-haired loose forwards knocking around, are there? I think of a grey-haired prop forward back in our studio. Here's the kick high. Cronk, who's going to claim this? Oh, it's taken. I think it was Hiku who got up there. It was the fullback who made sure with a wonderful leap.
Did well there, Hiku. Was under a lot of pressure.
Vatuvei.
We talk about revelations in this tournament. Hiku plays on the wing for Manly in the NRL because Brett Stewart is their #1 fullback. And he's been a revelation just as much as we talk about Johnson.
Isaac Luke. It's the arm wrestle stage at the moment. Taumalolo. 5 gone. New Zealand looking for a very good kick here. Australia have Johnson's number. The big chase by Cordner, but Johnson still gets a decent kick away. Taken on by Inglis, who offers it here to Mansour. New Zealand defenders up quickly. The height of the kick allowing them to get up there quickly. Matautai. Slipping and sliding. New Zealand desperate to keep them here. Mannering's done a good job there for his team, the captain. dragging him down, wasting another Australian tackle. This is Thaiday. Smith. Jackson. Sixth tackle. So Smith out of dummy half will hack it downfield. Hiku catches on the full and off he comes now, quickly into his pace. Running to see if there's any weaknesses there, but finding only the unwelcoming arms of Dylan Walker, who makes the tackle. Who's going to break here? They're both testing each other physically down the middle. That period of the game that lacks a bit of flamboyance, but takes a lot of heart. Vatuvei charging in again. 23 minutes at least before we can crown the Four Nations winners here. And here's a little slip, and off he goes! Wonderful by Johnson again! Shaun Johnson! Wow, what a night he's having here in Wellington. He creates, but he also scores in a magical fashion. Shaun Johnson, give him the crown. What a footballer.
Magic Johnson. Never mind Shaun Johnson. He's Magic Johnson. We said keep running. He's got to keep running. His teammates have defended the last 3 sets. Got him some field position. Plays out the back, one-on-one. Wish on the outside. Shows his speed, and that's to beat Inglis as well, remember, in the process. What a score.
Oh, just the body's in motion. They're more worried about Proctor than Johnson, and what they don't want him running in their D-line, what his teammates want him to do is keep running, because when he runs, he creates doubt. And here we got again Dale Cherry Evans. He pushes off very early, and Johnson sees it, and that's a skill in itself. If you have vision to see what the next defender out's doing, whether do I pass it or do I go myself? And straight away, and this is what I love here, he doesn't step back on the inside, the fullback Inglis. He takes him for speed on the outside. But that, I think that's an appropriate word to use. Magic Johnson. Here's the spark.
He burned. I think it was Boyd Cordner. He ran around. Cherry Evans has given him the responsibility of looking after his inside shoulder on Johnson. He's taken his eye off it and gone. As you've said, he's moved on in the defensive line. Boyd Cordner just couldn't fill the space because he's too quick. Yeah, he ran around him.
But Evans has got the threat is Johnson. He's got to deal with Johnson. He's on his inside shoulder. He deals with Johnson. And he doesn't release until Johnson passes it. And he's overcooked his decision there, Evans. And his back rower on the inside is half gassed himself from the previous ruck, the work he had to do.
Well, Stephen Kearney earlier this week described Shaun Johnson as the Ferrari in the middle. And he is purring tonight. Looking to add another 2. Shaun Johnson rocking backwards and then rolls it forward. Oh, he's hit the post. He's hit the post. And that might yet be a crucial moment, because 18 points to 12. First goal miss of the night, and arguably Johnson's easiest conversion attempt of the night.
Sometimes the hysterics, the emotion of what he's just performed skill-wise has overtaken him a little bit there, but this happened a few times here today where we've had defences not staying together, people making decisions on their own accord line, causing problems. At this level, you've got to keep your defensive line together and work together.
Well, it's on nights like this that the stars come out to shine, and Johnson is glittering tonight. We've seen some wonderful performances down the years. Lockyer in 2006, wasn't it, crowning his memorable year. Thurston has bewitched and beguiled. Benji Marshall, as Ian was saying, all of them classy footballers, and Johnson is joining the ranks tonight with this performance.
Well, his mentor at the New Zealand Warriors is Stacey Jones. And you think of Stacey Jones, Benji Marshall.
Here comes Adam Blair.
Oh, this set's reminiscent of what they were doing in the first half, Ian, and this is what I'm talking about when they've had a little bit of ball.
He's off again. Sixth tackle, but does he mind? He's only got 1 play left. Pops it over the top. They're looking for a miraculous play here. That was a knock-on, surely. Nightingale. Well, there is the sublime, but there's also the ridiculous. And I think that was just edging towards the ridiculous. Oh, they've given a knock-on against Australia first. It is New Zealand's ball.
Well, why didn't he play on then if Australia have knocked on? Because Mandarin's in the clear there.
Because he knocked on afterwards. 2 knocks on.
All right.
Or
cool.
2 knock-ons.
That's fair.
So he's saying, here we go. New Zealand hand there, knock on, and then Nightingale hand, knock on.
Yeah. Well done, Mr. Bentham. Keep your mouth shut, Brian.
I've been wanting to say that for 4 weeks, but never dared.
Hey, Sean, get in there.
Only joking. It's been a happy camp. Here's Foran with a feed. This now is Nightingale. 25 metres away. New Zealand edging closer. 19 minutes to go. They have the lead by 6, but not quite the comfort zone that would put Australia out of this. Australia are still very much in this. Johnson back on the inside. Blair. Isaac look up at dummy half. Here's Kieran Foran. Foran out to Hiku. Hiku to Vatuvei. No stopping him. No stopping him. Wow. They put the bodies in the way. He simply run over the top. Vatuvei. That's why they call him the Beast. New Zealand are rolling it. Rolling it.
A mismatch. A 19-year-old Sione Utai. His first series for Australia up against the runaway bus. As soon as he got the ball, you knew he was going to power over. Massive call here on the knock-on, which gave New Zealand the ball. And here we go again. They get to the 4-man, which is the 4th last defender. And the wide ball again. They knew if they could get to Matai, they could power over him. Foran, really great composure. Doesn't rush his way in the line. We talk about Hiku. He can hit Kenny-Dowall there, but no, he doesn't. He goes to the big man. He knows he's going to outpower the young kid. Gee, I love Foran here. Look at the way he just steadies, drags Cronk in, and then the wider ball gets a one-on-one. Covered defence, never going to stop that.
Well, Matai Utai's got a big lesson there. The old tanker got him, and he wasn't going to be stopped. That's why he's the Beast. 10 metres out, 5 metres out, on the fly at full speed. Great pass from Hiku to give him the running option, and welcome to Test match football.
I was watching that defensive line for Australia, and they put an extra defender on their left. They were always one short on their right, and that's where Foran was happy to go a little bit slow on the defensive line to drag them in from outside in and create the space on the outside.
The delicacies of Johnson have been a delight to the eye tonight, but there was nothing delicate about that finish from Vatuvei. Johnson's gone out wide again, and he's hit the post again. So 22 points to 12.
Well, the last team that hit the post twice didn't get to the final.
This is really unforeign territory for Australia now, isn't it? You know, you look at that. It was a 6-point game because of the uprights hitting from the last conversion. Now, you'd love to be a fly on the wall amongst the Australian group when they were in that enclosure then, wouldn't you? And that huddle.
Just imagine the pitted look on Sione Mataiutai's face when, oh, here he goes again. When Tim Sheens asks, why didn't you stop Vatuvei? And just a pleading, I tried.
So what happened was he steadied for a minute. When he steadied for a minute, he wasn't coming from a moving forward start. Once that happened, he was always in trouble. He was always going to be in trouble with the size of the opponent.
And this is the process that the Kiwis went through. Certainly the first, I can't emphasise to our viewers enough that...
Oh, Taumalolo with the offload here, and here they go again, and it's walking towards Vatuvei, who's on a hat-trick if it goes his way. But the Australians are across there to make sure it doesn't get his way. And Kenny-Dowall is dragged down. New Zealand are flooding through here. They really have their tails up here, the Kiwis now. They believe. Australia are there for the taking. And the proof is in what's happening. 5 tackles gone. Here's the last. Out it comes to Johnson. Hits the legs of an Australian. They're going to survive. And Cordner, having made that interception with his shins, is quickly, if that's the right word, forward to make sure he drops on it again. Australia needed to survive there, didn't they?
They absolutely did. They were gone. Cordner's interception with his shins has saved them in the short term, but I go back to what Ian said just seconds ago. There's a few heads being scratching around this Australian camp. That'll help them, that carry from Clemmer.
21 years of age, another baby in the front row. David Clemmer. Here's Thaiday, carrying all the experience. Likewise, Cameron Smith, who sidles up to dummy half. Here's Cronk. Walker stepping back on the inside. Australia desperately trying to claw their way back into this game. One try and they are back in this game. Sixth tackle, Cronk carries, throws it left, scruffy pass, picked up by Jennings. He can make things happen. Not this time, throws it inside. I think he'd already put a foot in touch. He had. The flag was up from Robert Hicks down there. And New Zealand, double bubble. They've made the tackle anyway, but it was a foot out of play, so head and feet.
Australia desperately looking for Walker to put the ball on the boot and get a repeat set and mount pressure that way. You make a good point. There's plenty of time on the clock. It's only a 10-point game. You don't need to score straight away. You need to keep building pressure, and the points will come.
Time off. Okay, Sean.
Just. Oof, only just. But just is good enough.
Got it right, Robert Hicks.
Here's Bromwich. Possession last 5 minutes, New Zealand 74%. Swings and roundabouts. You just know you're going to get time with the ball at some stage in the game. Taumalolo. He's still looking for the offload. Vatuvei's up there, hungry for work as well. Mannering takes the tackle on the halfway line. New Zealand and Vatuvei. Wow, he's on his game tonight. He's got the appetite. Isaac Luke spinning it back to the middle. Another big push, Taumalolo rather, with the offload, keeping it alive. It's all bouncing the Kiwis' way. Australia being stretched to the limits here, stretched almost to breaking point. Johnson with a dummy, and then the pass. It's taken on by Whare, who looks out wide and finds Nightingale. A crowd of Kangaroos are there, but Nightingale has the wherewithal to put that little kick to the in-goal area and force the restart from the dropout.
Smart work, Jason Nightingale. They're playing the offload game again now with the Kiwis, and the Australians are finding it hard to live with. If they do the same in this set, I worry for the Australians.
Well, that's what Australia wanted up the other end of the park. They were in the same position. They had a winger and a centre, got the ball. This time it's a winger for New Zealand, and he just keeps his composure. Two experienced wingers against two new wingers for Australia, two new centres for Australia, especially Walker. Jennings has not been a prolific starter. That's where it's just the key moments. Interesting now, Ben Hunt's coming on. Now, Tim Sheens has a theory when it gets tough around the middle, his little bit of his athleticism, his speed, his ducking, causing New Zealand some problems. He's got to go for the top shelf now, Tim.
Calls his little halfback the ace up the sleeve, doesn't he, Ben Hunt? And we've seen him have an impact in games in this tournament. But it's a big ask from here.
I'll tell you what, they need to hold him out here first before they worry about Ben Hunt.
Isaac looked from dummy half. Johnson shifting it on. Loving the ball in their hands at the moment, the Kiwis. Everyone wants a touch. Everyone wants a run. Confidence is sky high. This is Jesse Bromwich. 10 away. Isaac by Thaiday. Clever makes the tackle though on Taumalolo. Look. Blair. Bromwich. Australia not only struggling to hold on to him, but making sure he doesn't spin it away again. Such is the intent to keep this ball alive. Sixth tackle, Johnson dabs it to the in-goal area. Inglis watches, and in the end he has to pat it away because he could hear the hot breath of Tohu Harris breathing down his neck, knowing if he didn't deal with it, it was another try. It's another set they're going to have to defend here, Australia.
Smart play, good composed, pressure play from New Zealand. This is really testing Australia. They're going to have to be good to keep them out here. Great kick from Johnson. Threaded the needle, and Inglis get it every opportunity to go out, and the chase from Tohu Harris made sure that he had to play at the ball, Greg Inglis.
Whatever the fatigue factor in both sides, I think adrenaline takes New Zealand home from here, doesn't it? And belief. Cameron Smith swings that left boot. And Vatuvei comes again, and there are supporters down below us off their feet the moment he gets the ball in his hands. Taiday's been left sprawling on the ground. Clemmer's not too happy. Vatuvei's done his damage again here. Thaiday's in trouble, having tried to stop him. This will be Taumalolo. Clemmer, give him his due, climbing in to make the tackle. But 3 more tackles to come here. Here's Luke. Kieran Foran, Mannering, spins away. 2 to go. Australia grimly hanging on. Just look, knocked down. Australia win it back again.
Well done, Australia.
And the hurt Thaiday staggers away.
Taumalolo was out for the count, busted all over the place, and he still is here. He got back to make that 4th tackle.
It takes some courage, that back-to-back sets. They're full of it, New Zealand. They're powering at the moment. It takes some courage, some work and commitment, but I think it's taken a lot out of Australia. The clock's against them and the scoreboard's against them. So when you lose energy like that, defending like that, gee, it takes a big performance now to get up the other end of the park.
Here comes Clemmer, he'll try. 10 minutes to play. Australia having to score twice, and they might have to do it without Sam Thaiday by the looks of it. Although he's still out there. Or Bird, loose one, taken by Jennings.
Well, it's going to take a magic moment or a special moment from a special player to break this stranglehold that the Kiwis have at the moment.
Cronk kicks and hopes.
Won't kick to him either.
Here comes Vatuvei again. Off the seats they come again, and he spins it out wide. And here comes Kenny-Dowall, hurtling down that left-hand side. Brushes off a couple more defenders. Still going here, Kenny-Dowall. And eventually Papalii is drawn to him and makes the tackle, but that is tackle 1 from the kick. New Zealand are right back in the Australian faces in their half. Bromwich, quickly played. Here comes Adam Blair, charging forward. Lewis Brown. Little step by Lewis Brown, running into trouble. Couple of tackles to go. Johnson puts it back. Hiku in the line, the fullback. That's how close they are. Last play of this set. Brown, he's going to go from dummy half, is Lewis Brown, and he's not far away. But it's not a bad place to finish either, is it?
That's a great spot to finish, but they were looking for Johnson to get the ball in his hands, put the ball in the goal, and just suck the juice out of Australia even more. They're on their knees here, Australia. The players from New Zealand want the ball in the goal. Lewis Brown's seen something. You can't knock him for that. And they're starting in a dominant position anyway.
New Zealand win this. It is one of the great test match victories, isn't it? If Australia win this from here, it is one of the most heroic test match victories. But you cannot see it happening at the moment.
They showed their quality in defence here, Australia, the last 10 minutes. They've been under pump. They've stood up.
They get a penalty. They get a penalty.
I was just going to say, if they get a penalty here, Australia, and they find some field position and get a score, you best believe they're capable of winning this in a 5-minute period.
Well, the kick to touch has found them a position short of the halfway line. Jennings. Still some single-handed razzle-dazzle men out there, aren't they? Inglis and Jennings and Cooper Cronk, Daly Cherry Evans. They are players who can, in even the tightest of circumstances, make things magical happen. Here comes Greg Bird. The Kiwis having to keep their concentration. Ben Hunt. Cronk. Short pass. Australia with renewed energy here. Now they've got the ball back in their hands. Hunt at dummy half. Cronk. Clemmer from a standing start. Not going too far. Rolls it backwards. Ball on the ground. Went backwards. Referee says that's okay. But the tackle's good anyway. That's 5. Here comes 6. Cameron Smith. Inglis with a kick again. Hanging high in that in-goal area. I think he's overcooked it. Yes, he has. And out it goes. And a few thousand Kiwis up on their seats again. Arms waving in the air because they know that's another little turn of play. Another little moment that has gone against Australia, which makes it ever more likely that New Zealand are going to win this game.
What's Greg Inglis doing kicking the ball? He's the one they should be kicking to. He's the best leaper in the Australian team. He's the one who should be out in this left flank jumping for it. He's had 3 kicks in the second half, 3 more than he normally ever has in the second half.
Well, they need him to carry the ball in.
Exactly. Cronk and them are going to do the kick, and Inglis needs to get out and do the running.
There's Manu.
He's got to be close to man of the match, Manu.
Well, given the way Sean Johnson's performed, that is a big call, isn't it? But you're absolutely right. Here they come, right again. Whare stopped in his track. Tim Sheens, on the night of his 30th test in charge, is perhaps having his least comfortable night in charge. Johnson. Up. Who's got the heart? Jennings. I think New Zealand are just happy to just play them down there here, aren't they? Make the Australians work hard.
Well, that tells you, Tail. Evans, their sixes run the ball out from off their line. There's no outside backs ringing it here, Brian.
Oh, here's Walker.
They've got to find some width, they've got to find some space, they've got to get their big go-to man, Greg Inglis, who has been anything but this game, into the game and find some space, but that's easier said than done against this really determined and vigorous physical team.
Cronk chipping over. Cherry Evans with a chase. What's the bounce like? Fortuitous, but Hiku had him lined up and hits him with a shoulder. Hunt. Cronk. Here's Walker. Off. He's got the ball away. And the pass back on the inside as well. The desperate pass. Ben Hunt scores. Australia still have a sniff here. They went for bust. And they found a busted New Zealand defence. And Hunt, the impact man, has made his impact again here. Australia ain't out of it yet.
Well, sometimes you've got to speculate to get something out, and they speculated with the kick, Australia. Kick short. Hiku was at the play the ball. So Foran ran back deep to fill in the fullback role. Straight away, they've got a defender out their left-hand side. He gets the ball back, Dale Cherry Evans, but then they go the right. Foran's out of play. They speculate with the pass back on the inside. Bodies get there through desperation, and it's a try that really brings us back to where you feel New Zealand have dominated this game so much. They're still hanging in, Australia.
What about the flick pass from Walker? Wow. And he caught one for his troubles from Manu. But then there's a speculator as well from Vatuvei. What a ball. And then Manu finishes him off. He certainly wasn't going to let him back up. Vatuvei takes the ball on, and does he throw the speculator to get in?
Well, a big kick here. Cameron Smith kicks this, and a trainer goal could yet win it for Australia. From the sidelines, has he found it? Yes, he has. Cameron Smith, the ever reliable. And we just hark back. Conversions that hit the post for New Zealand. They'd have been home and host now had they gone over.
It's Cronk that throws a speculator, and
put all your effort in.
We spoke about Johnson, the half for New Zealand, but what about Cronk noticing the fullback, the little chip over? Evans regains it. Evans keeps his composure, and then Cronk, knowing that he's got numbers on his right hand side, goes there straight away.
Well, Saturday morning in England, how good is this entertainment? 4 points in the test match with 3 minutes left to play, and an Australian side that looked absolutely battered, that looked out on their feet, still have a chance of winning this Four Nations tournament. Extraordinary resilience. Have New Zealand got the heart to see it home?
We're going to go for it here, Australia. There's a shift player.
Here comes Inglis running this time. Oh, it's Greg Inglis. Familiar fashion. One hand on the ball, creating havoc with body in the other hand, but he's injured. He's hurt himself. Parker offloads. Clamour takes it in. Well read, well held. Good push by the prop forward, who's 25 metres away and still getting closer. Still going. He wants to go another 5 yards. Referee says get back and play the ball. Bit further yet. Bit further yet, David. Now you can play it. Here's Hunt again. This is Cherry Evans. Up he goes. It's in the mix now. Hiku's underneath it. Nightingale's underneath it. Neither of them made a hold of it. The referee says penalty Australia. Penalty Australia with less than 90 seconds to play. And less than 5 metres to cover.
Wow.
Oh. Cameron Smith with a tap. Cooper Cronk. Here comes Papalii. It's New Zealand's resolve that is being tested now. Cameron Smith, New Zealand are all offside. They came off very quickly then. Inglis wrapped around by defenders. 55 seconds to play. Here comes Smith, throwing it left. Clamour to Smith, to Cronk. Cronk on the outside had numbers. Walker comes back on the inside, keeps it alive, spun away to Parker. Parker now, it's Jennings. Jennings with a footwork against the tiring Kiwi defence. This is Smith, quick hands, picked up. It's Vatuvei who's knocked on. He's knocked on in trying to pick it up. And New Zealand just survived. Listen to the roar. Listen to the roar. Has a knock-on ever been greeted by such celebration before? Because with 14 seconds on the clock and the clock stopped, that's surely it.
Wow.
Can we have a look at this knock-on first?
One-on-one ball steals, boys. Yep. One-on-one ball steals.
Well, they're all looking at the clock. They're all looking at the screen. There are no replays up there for anyone to have a look at yet. 14 seconds to play, 10:43 in the evening in Wellington. I don't think they've had this much fun in Wellington at this time of the night for a long, long time. Kiwi goes to chant around the Westpac Stadium. They think they've won it now. New Zealand will just pick up, run and take the tackle. That's tackle 1. 7 seconds to go. Johnson has a look round. Now it's taken on by Brown. He takes the tackle. The siren sounds on a New Zealand victory. But what a test match we've just witnessed. It has been a fabulous 4 nations for the last 4 weeks. And it's finished in fitting style. Some absolutely unbelievable tries. Very nearly a miraculous Australian fight back. But in the end, it is the Kiwis who are crowned champions on home soil in Wellington in one of the great rugby league tests. Brian Noble.
Breathtaking. That's all you can say. Excitement right to the very end. A fabulous way to finish the tournament. It's been a terrific tournament, and the final was icing on the cake.
We unearthed some new superstars of the game in this tournament. We also unearthed a team that had to have quality to beat an Australian team that weren't going to give it up easy. You could see in their final seconds the way they built pressure, the way they demanded they needed to win. And I've got to say, quality all over. This has been a great tournament and a worthy winner.
Just one word to sum up the tournament and the final tonight.